Hey guys, this is Fantasy Lore and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk a little about the Istari, their origins and their fate after the defeat of Sauron. In the Undying Lands about the year 1000 of the Third Age, Manwë, the Lord of the Valar, became aware that the spirit of Morgoth's most dedicated lieutenant, Sauron, was rising in power again, and he summoned a council of the Valar to send 3 messengers to Middle-earth to protect the free peoples and assure them that the Valar had not forgotten them. 2 Maiar came, Saruman, sent by Aule, and Alatar, sent by Orome. Manwë then asked where Gandalf was, and asked him if he would go as the 3rd messenger. Gandalf said that he was too weak and that he was afraid of Sauron. However, Manwë said that there was all the more reason to go, and he commanded Gandalf to go as the 3rd. Later, Yavanna begged Saruman to take Radagast with him, and Alatar took Pallando as a friend, and so, eventually, the 5 Istari all arrived at Middle-earth. They came to Middle-earth around the year 1000 of the Third Age, though the Blue Wizards may have arrived much earlier, and each wizard was assigned a color for his clothes, white being indicative of the chief. The 2 that traveled to the east wore sea blue robes, hence their name Blue Wizards. Similarly, the other wizards also became known by their colors, being referred to as Saruman the White, Gandalf the Grey, and Radagast the Brown. They were clothed in the bodies of old men, restricting their power so they would only assist the peoples of Middle-earth and not seek domination like Sauron had. They were charged by the Valar to assist the people of Middle-earth through persuasion and encouragement, not force or fear. And this really answers the question of why the wizards, especially Gandalf, did not try to face Sauron themselves, why Sauron was not in his full powers. By inhabiting the bodies of men, they also became susceptible to all the weaknesses of a physical body. They felt hunger, pain, greed, sorrow, joy, and all the other emotions and pains of men. Their spirits remained immortal, and they aged only very slowly. However, their bodies could be killed. Gandalf did indeed die from his duel with the Balrog of Moria, and only through the intervention of Eru himself was he restored to his body. Very few of Middle-earth's inhabitants knew who the wizards really were. The Istari did not share this information. Most believed that they were elves or wise men. They attracted few questions due to their gentle nature and disliked of direct interference with other people's business. Saruman was originally gifted with the greatest power of the 5 Istari, and was named the head of the Wine Council, a group of wise in the opposition to Sauron. In the year 2759 of the Third Age, he was invited by the rulers of Gondor and Rohan to settle in Isengard, and the impenetrable Tower of Orthanc. Saruman was learning the lore of the Rings of Power, gradually becoming corrupted by the desire for the rings and by Sauron's direct influence on him through the Palantir of Orthanc. Eventually he became ensnared in Sauron's power, and assisted him in the War of the Ring until he was defeated by the Ents and Gandalf, who broke his staff and cast him out of the White Council. Saruman's death eventually came at the hands of his servant Wormtongue in the Shire after the destruction of the One Ring. His spirit was then dispersed by a wind from the west, becoming similar to Sauron in his destruction. When Saruman fell to the temptation of the ring, and after the defeat of the Balrog of Moria, Gandalf was reborn and given the title of Gandalf the White, and he assumed leadership both of the Wine Council and the Order of the Istari. He then cast Saruman from the Order and led the West to victory over Sauron, advising the Ring-bearer Frodo and the new king of Gondor Aragorn. After the defeat of Sauron and Saruman, Gandalf traveled west across the sea with the Ring-bearers. Radagast stayed true to his mission for a while. He instructed the birds and his servants to assist Saruman and Gandalf. But eventually Radagast is said to have become overfond of the beasts and birds and had ultimately failed to complete his mission. However, later writings are less critical of Radagast, arguing that he did not fail at his mission as much as simply choose a tactic, working with the animal world, and that ultimately proved less directly effective than working with men and elves. The Blue Wizards went into the East and do not come in the tales of Northwest and Middle-earth. It is sometimes thought that the Blue Wizards also failed in their mission and fell to the temptations that had corrupted Saruman. It is said that their fall gave rise to magical cults in the East. However, other writings again suggest otherwise, even that the Blue Wizards possibly succeeded in their mission, and that the victories of the West would have been impossible without their influence in the East. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, feel free to check any of my other videos. This was Fantasy Lore. Farewell, friends.